Yeah, don't worry, it'll come on.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. This is League of Extraordinary Inventors. I'm your host, Mike from Faraday Research. It is Free Energy Fridays. Welcome to the show. It is October 25th, 2024. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We got our usual panel, Nathan, Ben, Lulu, and Philip. We got Lulu in the car. So yeah, it's been a busy week. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and Ben and Nathan been really busy on their channels this week with interviews. Philip, I don't know what's up with you, but I'm sure we're going to hear about it tonight. And yeah, so Nathan, I guess we'll start with you.
Well, I've just been working on my Tesla coil a little bit. I did an experiment. I took my Tesla coil and I just put the wire down the center. I didn't have it attached to anything. Just put the wire down the center and turned on my rodent coil and had lights lighting up. And then I could literally take the wire out of the center and hold it in front of the camera, and it would take a few minutes for the light to shut off. So basically, its resonance is going on inside my rodent coil when I put that wire down the center, but it doesn't like to leave right away. So what's going on is the temperature is cooler inside that coil than it is on the outside temperature of the room. So as soon as it reaches equilibrium and they get to the same temperature, the light shuts off.
Interesting. Yeah, see, I've done a similar experiment where basically I've taken the ground and held it up in the air, and the light still comes on. But the second you put your finger on the lead, the light actually becomes brighter and the temperature increases in the coil because your body is actually creating inductance in the circuit, right? So yeah, I've actually done that experiment. I got a couple of videos, I believe, on my channel doing that same kind of demonstration, but I was using a Tesla plasma ball, and I hooked that up to a high voltage full weight bridge rectifier, and then I dumped it into a capacitor, and then after the capacitor into a light, and the end of the circuit was open. There was I wasn't completing the circuit, but the light still comes on. It takes a couple of seconds for the charge to go in the capacitor enough to get the light going, but it does turn on. The second I put my finger on the lead of the negative, boom, the light goes even brighter, more intense.
Yeah, that sounds like a different experiment. I didn't have any capacitors in there. Yeah. I don't even have capacitors on that Tesla coil. So Basically, it was simply a wire connected to one of the wires of the rodent coil, not all of them, just one.
Mhm.
And it basically was just shoving the wire down the center of the Tesla coil. There absolutely was nothing else in the way. And then the light would only light up over the center vortex of the coil. It wouldn't light up around it. So
Ah,
there was no capacitor to hold charge or nothing. So it was a straight up, this is, going in there, the energy. I'm not lying to you about how I'm getting it. All I did was pull the wire out and it still ran. So
interesting.
yeah, there was no
Well,
way to even put a charge in that thing.
Yeah, the rodent coil has a tendency to store energy. So we'll see that with the neodymium sphere when it's fully synchronized. Jack Scholze or Jack Scholes, he'll turn the system off, and it'll keep going and spin up a little bit even for a
yeah.
second.
Well, depending on the size of your coil, like how many pounds of actual copper you have, that's mass, right?
Yeah.
So that has capacitive value,
Mhm.
right? You could have
Yeah,
an air, you could
yeah,
have an air core, you could have an air core coil, and if the thing weighed 200 pounds, it's going to have capacitive value because
Mhm.
there's
Mm.
mass there to hold energy.
Oh, I
Eric
agree.
Dollar, yeah, Eric
yeah.
Dollar talks about that. Yeah.
Actually, it should get cooler when the energy density increases. Is that it? The
Well,
temperature should get cooler.
it was getting cooler in the coil. The
Yeah,
longer I kept the wire down the center of it, the
yeah,
colder that rodent coil got.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
makes a lot of sense. Wow, I never
That's
thought about
a
it that way.
that's a general relativity thing. But
Yeah, that makes
that's why I was talking about the spherical coil with the longitudinal wires, wiring, because the energy density should be pretty heavy at the center of that sphere, and so that means the temperature should cool off as well.
Mhm.
So
yeah,
yeah,
because it's net, because
that's a
it's net.
cool way to measure it. I didn't think of
Yeah,
temperature.
I find that fascinating because it's like it's natural inductance because of the
Yeah.
size of the coil, the mass. But if you were to put, say, a metal core in the middle, now the physics totally changes. Now you're going to draw in hot electricity or hot energy. That coil will start heating up because of the inductance through that, that mass of a metal core, right, or ferrite or whatever.
Yeah, it basically pulled it like a cold energy circuit would. It just pulled the energy as cold and left the hot part running. So you could still take your light and light the testicle on the outside while this thing's running at the same time, and it wouldn't matter. So
Hmm.
the whole premise to doing this first experiment, does it work? Okay, can I take different coils and do it? So then I took my bifilar pancake coil, did the same experiment, and it worked. Okay. Then I took a second Tesla coil and I just hooked it to the number 2 coil on it and see if it would explode out the energy, but it's cold, and that worked as well. So
Right.
the next step is a real simple one. I'm going to put it in water, run it down the coil, put the wire into water, and then pick up a second coil down the waves within that water and see if it turns on. And I would imagine it does because water should be conductive. Now, the next step after that is to take that water and make it mud. So can I run it through the mud? And if the answer becomes yes, I'm going to let the mud dry out and run it again and see if it'll still go through the dirt. That's kind of the whole thing here. So I wanted to get to a point where I could see if I couldn't do Tesla's experiment like a Colorado experiment and get the Tesla coil to light different things down the line based on how much he's pumping into the earth with his Tesla coil.
Right. Huh. That's really cool.
So it's just kind of a way to prove it out piece by piece where you can find an error if there is one, or if there's not enough mineral value in the mud in order to create it, because Tesla had, what was it? Quartz, not quartz. Quartz, but granite
Calcium.
as in that Colorado experiment area. So do I have to add granite to the experiment? Because as soon as you put granite in water, the conductivity of that water increases. So what my question will be is, if the water doesn't do it right away, if I put pieces of granite in there, can I get more to get it to conduct well enough?
Well, if you look at, say, RCA Laboratories in Bolinas and also Wardenclyffe, all the grounding systems went into the ocean. Well, you have salt water, a massive ocean of salt water. What a better ground system than that? There is no better ground system than that.
There you go. I'll have
Plus,
to measure the salinity of it and see how much salt to
right.
put in there.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool experiment, Nathan.
Mm.
Yeah, it's going to turn out some good results, man. At least I hope so.
Yeah, even if you were to get like a big bucket and fill it up with salt water, because you live near the ocean, so you should be able to snag some ocean water, right? You're in California.
Yeah,
So,
about an hour and a half away.
yeah, well, yeah, you're closer than I am. The closest
Nice.
I have is the closest I have is the Great Lakes. That's
Well-
fresh water, unfortunately.
And you're saying that it would be better if you had conductive properties already in the layers of the ground, right?
Like electrolytes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The ground, though, naturally does have iron in it already.
Oh, absolutely. It all depends on how much is in there. Like if I had a big DG underneath my ground,
Mhm.
I would have no problem waiting until it rained. Put it in there then. I think it'd conduct easily. I just worry about how many minerals I have in there. You know what I mean? Is it more clay than it is, you know what I mean, rocks and stuff?
Quartz or, whatever's in. I got it.
Yeah, I would try the saltwater thing. Just looking past history, Tesla always designed these huge power systems right near a huge body of salt water.
Well, I'll try with the fresh water. I'll just use straight from the hose, whatever they got. You know what I mean? See what happens. And then at that point, we'll see, because I know when I put granite in it, that it automatically, the conductivity level goes up. So then we'll see with that. And then if I still don't get nothing, we'll do the salt water. And maybe we'll start, between maybe 2 5-gallon buckets, maybe, I don't know, maybe a third, not a third, that's probably too much. Probably like an eighth of a cup of salt within 10 gallons of water. And we'll see how that does.
Are you
I'm
like
sure you're gonna be.
what
Go
you're
ahead.
amplify the signal, right? Using different mediums.
Well, I don't need it to amplify. I just need it to act as a conduit. So as long as it connects like it would a wire, I'm okay with that. And then we'll just see what the results are. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I just want to see if I can grow a field under the ground and use my ground to hold the energy in as a capacitor. Now, based on a straight line test from 2 buckets, I can find out if I have a connection. And then once I have a connection, I can simply go to my front yard and just run the hose and load up all the ground with water in it, and then light up the entire thing if it works.
I think you're onto something, Nathan. I think you really are, because if we want a system that's going to power a house, how are you going to do that? You probably need to implement something like what you're talking about.
Yeah. By the way, just so you guys know, when the rod goes down the center, I could touch this rod without a problem. The only thing you do is get the chills. So
It becomes
Yeah, because it's cooling down.
it becomes cold and there's no spark to it.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
That's-
cool.
that's the crazy thing. You can touch it and you're not getting burns. You're not getting anything. It's just getting colder. So that's kind of one of the reasons to put it down the center. I do not connect it directly to my number 2 coil at all. Okay.
So your goal is energy storage, is that it?
My goal is to make a ground a capacitor. If I can make the ground a capacitor, I can walk with a neon light and stick it in the ground like a staff and have it light up.
It's basically the Colorado Springs experiment, is what.
That's right. That's what I'm looking for.
using the minerals as like.
They're the conduit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, because the Tesla coil is a pump. So just think about it this way. I'm going to take the quartz in there and I'm going to pump energy in, right? But it's going to pump in a way that it affects it like this, like a piezo buzzer, okay? And it's going to pop it. And if I could pop it, I can increase that amount and just have it stay stable under the ground.
Why do you think Nathan Stubblefield was building these earth batteries? Right?
Yeah.
And he was doing through the ground transmission before Tesla. And like a lot of people out there don't even know who he is.
Yeah.
And
Well, I've seen a
Tesla-
lot of people on YouTube use the ground as a battery.
Sure.
So
He made the first earth batteries. That's what he was
Yeah, I
working on.
have a chapter, I believe, in the Practical Guide to Free Energy Devices about the Stubblefield Earth battery.
Yep.
Very simple.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very simple design, and that's how he made his wireless communication device. He was using the ground.
So if it worked, guys, then we understand the experiment of Colorado Springs a little better. That's kind of the goal here. Get out the information. Everybody could try it at home. They could see the faults and the good and the bad and the ugly, and they could do it at home. It's one less mystery.
Do you think they were using different sediments of layers to create an electric field in there?
Oh yeah. I think the granite had a big part to do with it, because when you get water next to granite, it sucks it up. So it's like a sponge to water. So when you do that, all the stuff goes into the granite itself. And if you got huge slabs of granite everywhere, they're basically little capacitors that sit in the ground. So all you have to do is connect the water to each one in order to get the capacitance to get higher.
That's interesting because layering is vital to the crystal battery by the Hutchinson design, right?
Yeah. So now you're going to understand the Great Pyramid when I do this as well, because then you'll understand why granite was used.
Right. Oh, that's
Yep.
cool.
Now look at the pyramids. What were they made out of? Limestone or granite?
Yep. And then they pulsed it. They pulsed the piezoelectricity with the water underneath. It made water hammer. So it created a pulse wave. And that was able to amplify it. Well, that's what I'm doing with the Tesla coil. I'm amplifying it in a pulse wave because basically the Tesla coil is a pump.
Yep. Why do you think Tesla made several trips to the pyramids? He was onto that.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think the pyramids were made out of different stones as they went up? They had more conductivity, that so they say that somehow there was an energy beam from the capstone. That would work with the theory of layering different.
Well, I don't think the capstone shot up. I think it pulled things down.
Okay.
Right.
It was more like a lightning rod, but it didn't pull lightning to it. It pulled the actual dielectric that's there. So you have basically energy on top, energy below. You get this thing to go up here, and it's pulling it, but it's too far for it to spark over. It's too far for it to make plasma, but it's just right to be able to pull the dielectric and energy and pull down and get energy that way.
It's almost like it was an ancient version of the Tesla coil.
Yeah, I think that's why he built it.
An image in the Egyptian hieroglyphs of this device that looks like a noble gas in a piece of glass, and somebody's holding it. And I always wondered how did it look like an energy device? And I always wondered how would they light this thing. But the other day when you guys were doing the tubes, the noble gas tubes, when you brought it closer towards the coil, they started to light up in different colors. And it clicked in my mind. I'm like, maybe the Egyptians did figure out how to trap noble gases, and by resonating, different, copper windings, maybe they actually were lighting the noble gases, and that's how they were achieving light and electricity, And I mean, that device looks like would be something like that. Yeah.
The way I feel is, it's pretty obvious what it was. It was an energy device. But the question is, what were they using it for?
Yeah.
What were they using it for? That's
Well,
my
right now,
$1 million question.
if you build out triangles and stuff, the research is that it'll pump water into the triangle or up, right? But if you do it in reverse, it means it forces the water down. So if you put it all over the earth everywhere, it would force the oceans to go back inwards toward the core instead of outwards. In that, you'd be able to change the gravity on the planet. If you wanted to terraform, you could. That's kind of one of the backwards reverse things of it. The other thing is could they get hydrogen out of it? Yeah, they do, because the natural process of the piezoelectricity, when it's engaged, it'll actually break the hydrogen bond from the water, and then that will come out. You don't need any chemical poured down the tubes. It naturally does it. So that could have also been another thing that's going on. Then the other thing to that is it like Tesla's Colorado experiment, where all you have to do is put something in the ground in order to make energy in another area around the actual pyramid. So if you have, these obelisks all the way around where they put off energy, you can light bulbs or other things like that in that area. It's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just triggered a thought in my head about the energy storage. You're making me think. Yeah.
Yeah. We need it. The obelisks are the beacon.
That's the whole point of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll find out what it does, and then we can all find out together. You know what I mean? It's interesting to find out why they did it, because they didn't just have that. They put rods in the ground. They were able to, do their tuning forks. What was the frequency of the actual building of the pyramid? You know what I mean? Things like that. Because if you activate a pyramid at 432 hertz and you have a tuning fork at 432 hertz, then it's going to resonate with it. It's pretty simple. Then it'll start lighting stuff up. What's the actual resonance frequencies of all the crystals that they had on the plate of the Ark of the Covenant? So it kind of goes to the whole theory of what they're doing there, and it all ties around resonance in the pyramid. So it's interesting to find out the answers.
That was kind of interesting. I was listening to one of Eric Dollard's lectures, and he was talking about the resonant frequency of the Earth, where most people think it's around 7.84 hertz.
Yeah.
He says, no, it's more like 18 kilocycles.
Kilohertz.
Yeah, 18 kilohertz.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not in kilohertz. The Earth is inverse of the actual air because it has resistance. So the air will propagate the speed faster than the ground itself. So it's different. It's an inverse. So you're going to get high voltage, high frequency in the air, but when you get into the ground, it'll be high voltage, low frequency.
Yeah, I heard it was like a range. Is that true?
So what would like a sun?
The Schumann resonance? It's like a range. It's not like a specific point, but like it goes back and forth between different frequencies.
I don't know. Everything harmonizes when you have something that has frequency like that. So it could be different frequencies in different areas, and then they harmonize in the center.
Okay,
because it's a beat frequency,
right? And that makes sense.
So it could, you can have chambers all the way around that could have different frequencies in them. That's not a problem. You know what I mean? The core is going to resonate in one frequency. And then when it comes out, it's going to change the frequency as it comes out of the earth and go from this, because the resonance is just a speed. Okay. The frequency of it, it's just a speed. It doesn't change the resonance frequency, but it changes the speed of the frequency. So when you get to the air where there's no resistance or hardly any resistance, the frequency will change. But when you get down to the earth, the frequency is different. But when you're talking about resonance, resonance is different. If you take resonance in a coil and you hold it up and put it over water, in the water, it'll slow down because there's more resistance. If you put it in the sky, that same frequency, you start to get snowflakes. So it's the speed of it where that the actual snowflake can capture it in before it drops. So it's slower than you think in certain areas and faster where we are because we're in an open environment versus a closed one.
Interesting. Well,
that's what you get for plugging your Tesla coil into the ground too long.
Yeah. things start to happen. Well, actually, no, it'd be a cool experiment if you do that and then get a light bulb and stick it into the ground beside the Tesla coil, actually physically stick it in the ground, see if it lights up.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I want to be able to walk over my whole front yard with that tube and just stick it in the ground and light it up.
Well, Tesla.
I want to make a pogo stick out of one.
Yeah, like
shock me to the moon.
Dave on this idea, no more wires, no more, all that could be consolidated. Which is the energy is working etherically rather than,
well,
like.
See, don't forget back in the day, what are the health implications of this? Is this safe for our body, right? So back in those days, Tesla never really studied the effects on the human body with it. He knew certain frequencies are safe, but when you're dealing with the high potentials he was working with, it makes you wonder, is there any kind of parasitic effects on your body being exposed to that amount of energy, right?
How long did Nicholas Tesla live to?
He was 87 or 88. 87, I believe.
Might be all right then.
Exactly.
So, yeah, well.
That's pretty good age.
Yeah, he did last a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But, in today's day and age, too, the FCC would have an issue, right? The FCC and all those guys, they would have a slight issue on, the radio emissions that, we'd be broadcasting, right?
So, yeah. That's why they shut down all the low hertz frequencies.
Unless we submit it as we are researching.
Well, I'm not going to run it that long. As soon as it does it, 10, 15 minutes of camera time, and that's it.
Yeah, we're researching its effects. Okay.
So.
That's really what we're doing.
We'll know when the vans start showing up.
Yeah, that's right. They start circling your house.
Like
people with sunglasses.
Yeah.
Sunglasses and suits.
Men.
Oh, I'm gonna put that one online as they're coming for me.
We do this. That's experiment because
yeah, we can't hear you.
I hear Mike.
Distortion.
Mike chomping away over there. You got some snacks?
I got some snacks. Sorry.
We can't hear you, Lulu. Go ahead.
Or the sound? Was it
now we can hear you now that he stopped playing with his chips.
Was it chips? No, I don't think we would be the ones that like the vans come to because they're scared. I think we're the ones that they want to somehow keep developing things so they can steal ideas.
They're gonna embrace and extend what we're doing.
Yeah, and they're not gonna go after people that are publicly talking about it. They're gonna talk about people that are not publicly talking about it.
They just tell us we're a bunch of crazies.
Whatever, I know what I know, and I don't care about.
I'm just a schmuck.
But I know. I agree with you. Then we'll continue. But if you're gonna say, "Oh, what I know is wrong and what I'm learning is wrong," then you don't know nothing. So it's like that. It's either understand it or it's a boring subject. You don't.
Look, the way I see it, just put it out there, and people are gonna say what they're gonna say, and I'll just move on to the next project, and that's it. I don't personally care. You know what I mean? I'm doing experiments for the fun of doing experiments. I don't get paid for them, and I'm not looking to get paid for them. So,
Well,
you know what I mean?
why don't we work on the next project for your next project? Why don't we work for an energy storage thing? Because I know the demand is pretty high. I'm connected with the defense defense mailing list, and they ask for people who have solution for energy storage and stuff like that. Can you imagine? Can you imagine you have a spherical coil with longitudinal wires, like I keep saying, and you create a very focal, dense energy point of energy, but you do the opposite afterwards. You induce in the energy from that point of energy. You induce electricity from that point of energy. You know what I mean? You do the opposite. So you kind of store it, and then you do the opposite to harness it. So I'm trying to. While you guys were talking, and I was thinking about that stuff, because I know the demand is pretty high in the military and for energy storage, because that's a way they require, like ways to store energy the most efficiently. So,
Yeah.
but the
I guess
obviously how to contain that energy, you need energy, but the goal would be to use less energy, like a minimum of energy to store that huge amount of magnetic energy, or whatever type of energy it is.
They were
So
small portable
I think,
units, small portable power supply units.
right, and that's what I'm working on right now, as well as the big power cells, right? So I'm going to make something that can power your cell phone for several years
oh yeah,
without having to charge it, right?
that's pretty cool.
So
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
That's really
Uh,
cool.
the, the,
And it'll be about the same size, same as your power supplies that you could buy right now at the bricks.
Well,
It'd be like that, but you
You
don't
just
have
buy
to
it, you
charge
just don't have
this
to
thing.
recharge. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to charge this one.
Wow, that's so
the,
cool.
oh, dude, yeah, I'm gonna connect you with the military. You'll make tons of cash.
You
Nice.
know what? When eventually I'm going to disclose the details of the technology. This stuff is already out there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really like all the stuff that I'm putting into this cell. It's household items. It's household
Nice.
items.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
That's the crazy part. I'm not hiding, some secret element from a secret installation in Area 51. Nothing like that. It's stuff you can find in your house right now. You can put into the cell to actually make it do what it does. That's the crazy part.
well, just so you know, Gerald's working on his coil, and it's literally like a Tron disc. You could just stick it on the back of your suit, and it'll run that whole power suit for you. And then Mike's battery would be able to turn that thing on and keep it running for a long time. So when you talk about energy like that, it's already there. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
step
but
on his toes.
can you imagine me being able to store an infinite amount of energy at one point? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, well,
go
sorry.
ahead.
If it gets to that point and we can start using the Earth as the battery, then it would be pretty simple if you just had the device and no matter where you were, you stabbed it into the ground and you got your energy. That'd be a lot easier, especially for the military.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and like my system is a way safer method than the nuclear battery. There is nothing nuclear in this at all. Like that's going to give off any kind of radiation, beta wave or gamma. It's
Yeah,
nothing of the sort at all. It's knowing elements and how they react with each other. That's what it really boils down to. And Believe it or not, a lot of it you can find in your medicine cabinet. There's a clue. There's a clue.
We can't
Yeah.
say on YouTube, right? What the element, what the thing is. We cannot. We're
Well,
not.
alum is a really cool thing because they use it for pickling. Now, John Bedini put this out years ago. He was making basically the magnesium battery that Laser Saber was working on, right? He developed, or he figured out, he took alum, which is basically a preservative for food, and wrapped it around the magnesium. And guess what? It protected the magnesium from oxidation. So there's a freebie for you, alum.
Hmm.
You can buy it at the bulk barn, right? So there's one method there. But what I'm into is kind of going a little bit beyond that. It's not just what's in it, it's how it's put together. The building method is almost more important than the actual elements themselves. So, yeah, household items, people. Brainstorm. Use your brains.
You, you
Nice.
have a periodic table as a reference to on how element
Sure,
the
sure, exactly. Yeah, pull it up, put it
elect.
on your screen, start studying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start.
Talking about radioactivity, you guys want to see the simulator I've been working on over the last
Absolutely.
Sure,
2 weeks?
sure. Bring it up.
Yeah. Um,
I've been excited about this all week. I wanted to hear about Phil's update.
um, one sec. Oops. Let's start it first. Okay, and présenter. I don't know why it's in French. So I never selected French.
You're French, so you're okay.
Yeah, it reads. It figured it out on its own. Window Phonetry share. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's my simulator I've been using in the past for a perihelion precession, light bending, Big Bang, galactic rotation curve, the Pioneer anomaly, and the nuclear forces. Before I click the tab, I want to show. I just want to tell you that you'll see two atoms of carbon colliding. So carbon has six protons and six neutrons, with almost six electrons rotating around. And I'm using my theory to represent the strong force and the weak force, and the electric and the gravity force. So here are the two atoms colliding with the electrons around. So boom, they collided. But another point is these are not like balls of pool. They're like they're kind of energy. They're kind of they're not really balls of pool that bounces off each other and things like that. They're just points of energy. So if we zoom in after the collision, you see the proton, which is in red, the neutrons are in yellow, and the electron in blue. But the proton is kind of splitted. They're kind of sliced from the from the nucleus. It's kind of sliced after the collision, and it's you see the proton is kind of drifting away from the nucleus after the collision. But that makes sense because the only thing that was affected is the electric charge, the electric field. The neutron is neutral, so it's not affected. So So now the proton is kind of drifting away because of the electric field difference that it was just subject to. So if I can speed it up here by 10 times, 100 times, so you see that it's being rescaled and it's rescaling on its own. But you see that the proton is drifting away, and at the quantum level, the quantum level is different because I can represent the nuclear forces correctly, but at the quantum level, I have problems because these are quarks. Quarks are repelled. Quarks of the same charge are attracted from each other, but from different charges at the close distance, they're repelled because that's what the strong nuclear force does. It repels quarks of the same charge at close distance. So the standard model has something going on, and I need to study it further. Um, but there's something going on there. The standard model is something quarks should represent inside a neutron and a proton, but they're kind of repelled. They're grouped. The same charges are grouped together, and different charges are repelled. So I need to figure this out. But at least I got the nuclear forces done correctly here. The nuclear fission and the that's a start. So yeah, that's what I want to share. And if I can represent it correctly, um, using a simulator, then we won't need to pay for these huge particle accelerators that cost trillions of dollars for the taxpayers and things like that. So
Yeah,
uh,
it's cool. I like that.
yeah, so my goal is to simplify, do that type of research they do in particle accelerators, that we could do it at home using a simulator. And the code is all open source. I can share you the link. Um,
Sure. Put it in the chat. Everybody, live chat's open. It's going good. Keep it up. A lot of good chats going on.
When
I'm
the
trying to post this.
when the two carbon atoms smash, do any of them lose their electrons?
yeah, the electrons there, you could see them just orbiting. They're kind of adapting automatically on their own. Um, but it's kind of slowed down. And the simulator is kind of the time frame is very slow, but the electrons are rotating a lot faster than what you just saw. And
But they're not in a stable orbit anymore.
yeah, they can get the atoms can get ionized very easily.
Okay.
That's funny. I cannot post the GitHub link. I'll put it here, but I cannot post it in the public chat. Um,
I'll have to check that out. Guys, I'm just going to go for a quick smoke. Just carry on. I'll be right back.
so yeah, yeah, I'll post the YouTube link, which links my GitHub link.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys know about fiber optics?
Not a lot. I don't know much about them at all. What about you, Phil?
Fiber optics. Well, yeah, that's the point of my simulator is to be able to simulate meta materials and things like that, and any type of material. And as a matter of fact, using supercomputers, and I'll be able to represent the diffraction of transparent materials like fiber optics and things like that, because it has a greater energy density. It's more dense when inside a material, so I'll be able to simulate, any type of materials and things like that. So that's a cool thing. I'll be able to do with the scaling up my simulator to using supercomputers and stuff like that. Now I'm just using my laptop, so you could only see two atoms, but using supercomputers, I could simulate like real materials and things like that.
Mhm. Well, when I was in networking, I briefly touched on them. I built a small one. They basically use pulsed light sent through fine strands of glass, and it's like bendable glass, but you don't really want to bend it. And it's able to send that data, the binary data, really, really fast, like at the speed of light. So,
Hmm.
and it doesn't have as much attenuation, as a normal cable.
Does it emit RF and frequency, like radio frequency?
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
I'm asking these questions because I have a personal problem with the Easy Fiber company putting their box in my yard without consent. So I'm trying to
Mm.
get some.
That's a good question. I don't know, honestly.
I got this little R, and I'm gonna measure it. But I wanted to ask you, gentlemen, because you guys knew like this little RF meter. I'm gonna put it around the box, and if it starts, let me see the sound. I don't know what it's exactly supposed to do, but if it is, like, it will, like, the light will blink faster and faster. So anyway, that way I can record it on camera, and saying that this is in a open space, it's not buried underground, and it's emitting RF. Therefore, you need to remove it out of my yard. Anyway, but I wanted to, like, I had this thought, like, what if we use fiber optic lines to do the coil? I mean, current is running through that, and it is electricity. What kind of effect would it do? Instead of using the copper wires.
That's a good idea. I don't know. I never thought about it.
Fiber optics.
Yeah.
We need electricity.
Yeah. Well, that's she talked about for data though.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't know. It might have some interesting effect.
because it's still, it can. I mean, I did some reading about it, a lot of reading. It is still electricity, but in a different form. Needs some transducer or transceiver to flip the light pulses into electrical pulses.
Mm.
So it's still energy passing through that.
Well, I'm wondering if you put it in that toroidal pattern, just the light, if it would like act as like a relay, or like, I don't know if that's the correct thing, but like reduce the attenuation, like increase the signal, maybe
I don't know.
like a hub.
I just thought of that. Like, I was thinking of the idea, but you guys are the actual ones that do this stuff. Like, you can only have the theory. I've tried to the experiment part. Man, it's difficult. What you guys do is really hard. It is really hard.
But light in that toroidal pattern, that's interesting though.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
All right.
Yeah, but for me, light is an electron and a positron. So I think that it would be cool if we could have a way to split an electron and do the pair production, create an electron and a positron out of light very easily. That would be very great, because we could definitely use harness that and convert light into electricity very easily, or pure energy, as a matter of fact.
Right? Isn't that the fastest form of energy? is if it's through light versus the copper, so it should yield higher rates. Just I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense in theory, but I don't know. Like when we put all the meters to it, how it would pan out. But in theory, one material transmits faster energy than the other.
Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm not sure. Food for thoughts.
Yeah, I mean,
No, that's a good idea. I think I might put that on the list of coils to make. I'll wind a coil and leave space for a fiber optic cable.
Oh, I got something to show.
Oh, the screen is blurring. It's okay.
Electronic Geiger
Oh,
counter.
Nice.
Yeah, my
Nuclear
partner picked.
radiation detection.
You make me want to play some Half-Life, Mike.
Yeah, really. I played that game too. I liked it. Yeah, my partner that I'm working on the project with, he picked it up a week ago, and we met up, and he let me borrow it. So let me just pull it out, and you can see it a little better.
Well, why do you need that?
That's sleek.
For my Renegade device, because I'm using a spark gap, I want to see if there's any radiation coming off. So there it
No,
is.
yeah.
Always good to have one.
Yeah.
yours is like really.
Yeah,
Mine is just a little.
yeah. It's set right now. If the alarm will go off if it goes up to a 0.8 bar. So if it goes up to 0.8 bar, it will sound an alarm. That means you're getting into some high levels. So, and if you walk around, it's actually got another mode. It'll actually
Well, hopefully, hopefully it doesn't start going off like crazy when you turn it on.
yeah, it's got a live graph on it, so it's monitoring in real time, which is really
that's cool. Yeah, that's
so
neat.
it will show the fluctuation. So as I hold it here, you'll see a green grid come across the screen very slowly. But if there is a fluctuation, I found if I went near, say, a brick house and I put it near the brick, it actually causes the radiation level to go up just by the brick of your house. So if you're prospecting,
It's very sensitive.
Yeah, it is. So let's say you go near, say, iron ore, right? Oh, looks like somebody's trying to hack me.
Use Linux, man.
It says malware. Hopefully that's. I just got.
Was it a pop-up maybe?
Yeah, pop up. I got McAfee.
Yeah, just use Linux. End of story.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't have Linux on this. It's brand new.
Yeah, I got a Linux system that I use as well.
But yeah, it's a cool little thing to play with. When I start working with my Renegade device, and I got that spark gap going, I want to put this beside it and see if it actually gives me a reading. Would be interesting to find out. Also, anybody who's working with the Don Smith generators, high voltage spark gaps, I'd be having one of these handy. So even around Tesla coil too, you never know what kind of emissions are.
And how much was that again?
This one's $80 Canadian, so like $50 US.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's not bad at all.
Very good.
Yeah.
You want to put the did you get it off Amazon, Mike, or was there another vendor?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. I'll find the link and I'll post it. So
Awesome.
you guys carry on. I'll post it in the live chat.
I'll wear it around my neck like Flava Flav.
Yeah, really. What's that? That's a funky clock you got around your neck. No, it's a Geiger counter. We don't wear clocks anymore. We wear Geiger counters.
Mhm.
You know, that would be a really good sellable product for like police officers to wear it if they get close to somebody that's emitting some kind of energy. Will like tell them, you know, before they get too close. You know, like
Well, I got a nuclear power plant that's not too far from me. I should go by there one day with this thing and see if I can read anything.
Well, the Ontario Lake is full of radioactive material in it.
Yeah, probably from the Pickering nuclear power plant. Yeah, and know what the crazy thing is about that power plant? There's a fault line. There's a fault line that runs right through that plant. Now,
Oh God.
if you're building a nuclear power plant, that's the last place on the planet you want to build a power plant, a nuclear power plant. And even in the U.S. too, I think there's a couple that are built near fault lines. Why? I don't understand this. That just sounds crazy to me.
the ground is cracked and it's easy for them this the material from underneath the like the crust is loose, you know, it's less dense. I mean, I don't know, it makes sense, right?
So you're saying that they're dumping the stuff in there?
No, they're extracting it. That's
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, like if you're wanting to extract a rare mineral, go to a ground where it's already, you know, you take a lot to drill through it. You'd go one that's already broken up where it's easy to, you know, like extract things.
Hmm.
I mean, I would just think about it. Like, you know, most oil, you know, is close to fault lines and easier extract.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, man, I'll be able to. Well, you left when I was saying that, Mike, but my goal with the simulator is to simulate like any type of materials and metal materials and stuff like that, so I could save like tons of cash by with
Yeah,
the simulation of that
I
stuff.
put the everybody. I put the link for that Geiger counter in the live chat there. That's the YouTube or the Amazon link.
Hmm.
So if you want to check it out,
Does that nuclear wave put off any kind of magnetic field or anything around it? I know it does, like
sure,
radiation.
sure it does. Yep,
Hmm.
there is a magnetic component. Yep. Now it
So
all depends on.
can they spin it and put wire around it and collect some energy? Would it be good?
Probably could. Well, well, it depends on what type of radiation it is too, right? Like, is it
Yeah.
gamma or beta, right? Gamma's pretty dangerous. You don't want to mess with that. Beta, to a point, you know, a certain level is okay, but as soon as you get to a certain bar level, then it's not good for you. Gamma, bad, 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 bad for the human body.
Alpha is pretty bad too.
What's that?
Alpha decay.
Yeah, alpha. Yep, yep. Like even the cell phone towers, from what Eric Dollard's saying, they're emitting 1,000 times higher than what is safe for a human body. Now, how are they able to get away with this? You know, if they're emitting that amount of electromagnetic waves coming off a tower, you know, where's the FCC? How do they allow this if you know it's 1,000 times higher than what's acceptable?
Hmm.
It's like I don't know. It's like
I took my look.
favoritism.
I took this when I went to New Mexico for a conference a few years ago, and I went up on that mountain. I forgot what the mountain was called, maybe Pike's thing. I'm not sure, but it was in New Mexico, Sedona. Like I think right, Sedona, or is that New Mexico or Arizona? Maybe Arizona. I'm not sure, but this where Sedona. There's a mountain. I went up there, and there was a satellite tower, and I turned this thing on. it was like it was shaking to the point I almost dropped it. So the EMF field up there is really, really, really strong. Like ticking, wasn't just blinking, but the thing was like buzzing all over. And yeah, you're right. Just I think it depends on the proximity to the population. They were up on the mountain, so there wasn't too many people up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right.
It's still emissions, though. You might as well just stand right in front of an aircraft carrier radar system and just get blasted in the face because, Dollard studied the cell phone towers and he says it's bad, man. It's way, way too high. He was actually shocked on how high it was. And some people are sensitive to it. He had one guy that came to him. It took him quite a while to find him, but he did. And he was pretty well to do. He threw $300 on the table and he says, "That's yours, so I can talk to you for a couple hours." So Eric naturally says, "Sure, okay, let's talk." And he told him what was happening to him about this RF. It was making him sick, even to the point where he felt like his face was burning. So he basically made a setup. It was like a chair, and he put two big coils of wire and start emitting certain RF frequencies at him. And he says, "When you feel something, let me know." So I guess he went all the way up and down the electromagnetic spectrum. And in fact, he was very sensitive to certain frequency bands. And right around the 900 band, that's what the cell phone towers are. He says that's where he got really sensitive. He says, "Yes, the cell phones are making you sick." So he says, "Well, how do we fix it?" And he goes, "Well, in the end," he says, "you're going to have to make your whole house into a Faraday cage."
Yeah.
Right?
They use that MWO machine.
Yeah. I think that's what he used, multi-wave oscillator. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what he was using to test the guy inside the that space to see what frequencies were really hurting him, right? And I even heard too, like kids getting affected at school with the Wi-Fi, nausea and stuff like that, just feeling rotten. So, it does affect the human body. It's just a matter what frequencies, how much power is acceptable, right? What's safe.
Do you think
So,
they use it as a weapon to target people? They emit.
sure,
Okay.
sure it would. Sure it could. It's a good weapon.
And people won't know it's happening to them. And
Oh,
They
they have mobile vehicles that can do it right now.
So
They deploy them for crowd control.
man, I think I was targeted at once with those things. I am 100% sure that I was.
if the government doesn't like you, then he can just fire you or something like that.
They don't like me because I have a big mouth. They don't like me. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. No, I will go follow something. I will follow through. I don't just, and so they don't like people like that. They just, want cheap. That's all they want. They don't want people to question.
Yeah, they want sheeps.
Yeah. So when I felt like I was being targeted, I went and got glass shelves just made out of glass, and I have them all over the backyard. So if they beam anything, hopefully it will reflect back on them. I mean, I try to use the best materials that I think would work and that I have access to. I know there's probably a billion better things, but this is what I have access to. So I lined the backyard with pretty much like reflectors. So if
Nice.
anything comes, it bounces right back.
Talking about sheeps, it makes me think of the education system. It's the same in Canada and United States. At the elementary and middle school and high school, they don't create like critical thinking anymore. So it creates a generation of sheeps.
Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna be easier to control. even easier.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, my kid had the science project, and she was telling me that she needed to list from A to Z different scientific words. So as she was going through the list, I was giving her different words. And then she kept on looking at me. She's like, Mom, do you think my teacher even knows half of the things that you're saying? You know, and this is her science teacher. She's like, she doesn't even know what the word quantum means, you know? And I started laughing.
Yeah,
Wow.
Such a simple, you know, concept. The kids don't know what that means.
yeah. The worst thing is they can try an exam. If they fail an exam, they can take the exam again over and over until they succeed. What the hell is that? It's
Because
not preparing them for the real life.
because the school gets money, federal money. They have specific stats, and so they will change the stats that will give students in order for them to get, you know, federal money to the school system. You get it? And the federal, like, they have to, the kids, for example, here have something called the STAR test, and that's a state test. If a school, the students score a higher ratio than other schools, well, guess what? That school's getting a lot of money, you know? So for them, it's an incentive to try to get the children to pass.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but part of the brainwashing is later on when they get government subsidies and they keep getting these free things, these free health care, they keep getting free money in the mail for anything, then they're more compliant than you and I would be about all of this stuff. See, they just don't push back at all.
Actually, the public education system's overwhelmed because all the private charter schools are taking the good students while leaving the hard to teach students behind and severely underfunding them.
Well, stop teaching the way you do. Stop putting up one person in front of the class when everybody has a laptop. Simply put the lesson plan on the laptop.
I know
Smart kids
many
will get it
teachers
done.
who
The
don't make
not so
enough
smart
money.
ones will be able to do it. You know,
How are
with
you
the
going to teach
teacher.
a student if you're not making enough money? You need to drive an Uber on the side because
Who
you're not
gives a
making enough.
who gives a whatever? You took the job. Do your job. Do
Yeah.
your job. You took it. Do the job. That's it. I don't want to hear anything else. You can fight with the union about that. You took the job. You do it. Okay. You want to get paid more? Talk to your union rep.
I like that philosophy.
Well, I don't feel comfortable starving children like I've seen in Florida personally, where the school system literally doesn't feed these children. And some of these children, the only time they eat is when they go to school because their parents don't feed them.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it
I'm
personally.
sure they got the lunch
I've seen
program,
it
man.
personally.
Yeah, I'm sure they got the lunch program.
Well, I'm not going to
peanut butter
support
and
that
jelly
kind of
sandwiches
system.
would do
I
you
like to
good.
feed children.
Listen,
And I like to feed children when we live in the
I
richest
think
country
that's
in America.
misinformation
in the
about
planet.
feeding children. I think
America
that's wrong.
is the richest country on the planet.
that
They
lunch,
can afford to feed the children at school.
that lunch,
I think you're wrong about that.
listen,
I think they feed them.
the lunch program is rigged. It's segregated. The kids that program are allowed to get.
Your sound is
Not me.
on and off.
Is that
Yeah, your sound's kicking out there.
me? Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear
Try
me?
again.
Yeah, your sounds.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm saying the lunch program is rigged. There's segregation in it because if you're a child on that lunch program, you don't get to eat the yummy chips or the cool snacks or this. You're not allowed because it goes by student ID. So, but if you're not part of the lunch program that they offer, you know, you have an open variety of other things then that you could eat. But if you're on the program, you're limited to one.
I have no idea what kind of program you're talking about, but the programs in Florida don't have segregation.
Here in
They have
Texas.
severely underfunded programs for lunch.
No, here in Texas they do. Like, yeah, I had this problem with the you know, they're telling me, "Oh, your kids were signed up for this program last year." I'm like, "Yeah, my kids never used it." And they're like, "Well, why?" I'm like, "Well, because the kids that have that are part of the lunch program, they're not allowed to get anything else but what you give them." And so, you know, they go to school, they don't like what you're giving them because they're part of the lunch program. And if I send money with them to get the stuff, they cannot because they're registered part of the school program. So you understand? It gives like the kids.
That still seems like an inadequate system.
It is not.
It seems like an excuse to underfund it, to be honest.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's like it's the equivalent of what they do to unemployment, where they make the website really, really hard to apply and really convoluted and underfund the maintenance for it. So they don't want you to apply for unemployment.
Maybe.
They make it very hard in some states, especially Florida.
Why are you all on Florida, man? You don't live there.
I'm from Florida.
Dude, I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. I grew up in California on the school lunch program. Okay, for summer school and regular school.
How many years ago was that, though? How many years ago was that?
About 20 years ago.
Exactly. Inflation, it takes hold every year. And every year that we have inflation without a raise in real wage, which is a wage compared to inflation, average across the board, which we've had stagnation for over 40 years.
But that doesn't have anything to do with the school lunch. That doesn't have anything to do
it has
with
everything to do. That means there's less money for the
people who are employed by it, but not for lunch.
And when you have a regressive tax system that taxes the poor people more than the rich, you're going to have underfunding.
You're all over the place, dude. We're talking about school lunch.
No, this is all really relevant, actually.
Not really. Not when it comes to school lunch. They get a certain amount given to them by the taxes, and then they're able to make lunch.
Yeah, taxes fund.
That's what lunch ladies do.
Taxes fund the lunch. But if you're not taxing the rich and you're leaving that tax burden onto the poor with a regressive tax system,
that has nothing to do with school lunch. Still has nothing to do with school lunch. School lunch is a lunch lady making horrible tasting pizzas. Okay?
You're not getting the point. You're not getting the point.
Sure I am. You want to talk about wages, but we're not talking about wages. We're talking about school lunch.
It has everything to do with wages and taxation.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does. It's all related.
It does not. I don't care how much the teacher makes. It's irrelevant to how much food they get.
How much wealth the working class has nothing to do with how much they can feed themselves. Really?
Okay, guys.
School lunch, Ben. School lunch, not how much they get paid, what car they drive.
Yeah,
or they get
with
a Prius
public
or a Tesla.
taxes for the working class by the working class.
Oh my God.
If they have no money to feed
You're
themselves,
like off subject big time, dude. We're just talking about school lunch.
Yeah. Okay. It's Free Energy Friday. Let's kind of get back into the right area. You can agree to disagree. That's fine. But let's kind of curve back into what we were talking about before. Amen. Just a program note for everybody. I don't know if I said before, next week was supposed to be the last show for a couple of weeks. We had a meeting at work, so I'm going to be on day shift again for the next week. So next Friday, I'll be able to do a show. So next Friday, there is a show. After that, I'll be on afternoons probably for a couple of weeks. So I'll be like a couple of weeks off. So we got one more week after this, so we can get some stuff going. I'm going to be going on Nathan's channel probably in the next week, doing my full disclosure on the pulse motor or the Renegade device. And so it's probably going to be a Sunday. I believe we were talking offline there. So you can tune into Open Man Builds and watch my exclusive presentation.
Mike, if you think about your little device, it's not little, it's a very important device. You can put on those RVs as a current,
For
energy
sure.
source. You know, like anything
For
you
sure.
need to manufacture. If you patent it, you say, you know what, this is the new power supply.
You can put them on satellites. You can use it to power the space station. Go in remote areas where you don't have access to resources to make power. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I use these things, not like you guys like the whole military stuff and weaponry and this and that. I like more the practical use of everyday humans.
Exactly.
How can they use this?
Say for a camper,
you know,
say somebody who likes to live off the grid, or somebody that likes to go camping in remote areas where, in your demographics, solar panels not really feasible, right? So
I mean, there's the less maintenance to it, way less maintenance than as the whole solar panel system. Like you're not having things that might crack or break, or the surface of the solar panels, or they might get weaker through time. This one is like it's a whole like one piece unit.
Well, like the solar panels, apparently they have a lifespan of like 25 years. So
Very
depending
cool.
on when they were built, yeah. So like these cells are good, they're replaceable. Also working on a way of after the cell dies off, an actual agent that I could actually inject into the device to actually get it going again for say another year or so to get more life out of it. So we've been looking at a lot of different scenarios of how the power cell is going to operate, but right now we're shooting at 2 to 5 years life. So
That's a long time. That's 5 years, for
well,
practical.
well,
That's a very good time. I mean, if it could
like
more, yeah, but
remember that little cell that I showed you guys, a little while back, the little tiny one.
yeah.
I logged how much power that thing actually produced in 1 month. It made over 4 kilowatts. That little tiny little cell, 4 kilowatts of power.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Dude, I could
and
use it for my anti-gravity device easily.
that,
I have an effect with 150 amps with a few volts, let's say 200 watts. But if I had like kilowatts, dude, I
yeah.
could have like a big
Well,
propulsion right there.
see what my cells are actually designed to do is charge a battery bank. So if you get four, Power Queen lithium iron phosphate batteries, hook that to a 4 kilowatt inverter, you'll have all the power you need. The best thing is when you stop using your device, my cells are now recharging those batteries. So you come back the next day, they're fully charged, ready to go again,
Cool.
and and you can do it off the grid. There's no charging of my device whatsoever. They're
Speed
self-charging.
up your development, dude. I wanna buy your device.
Yeah, well, I'm working on it. I've got the good prototype, design of the cell made now. Very easy construction, very economical. I think that was one of the big things too, is making it economical. Because like, if I made one cell and it costs over $200 to build, well, that's not really feasible, right? Now I'm getting it to around $50.
Hmm.
So if I could build a cell for $50 and do a 25 or even a 40% markup, it's still affordable for the consumer, and I'm making a bit of a profit there. So
Yeah, but you just need to buy it once and it lasts forever. Is that it?
I'm hoping 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what he's.
2 to 5 years.
I mean, think
Yeah,
about those,
two to
like
five.
the cell phone cases that have the pre-built power bank in them. To give you, like, you buy the phone case that has the built-in battery. Those cases, just and you still have to charge that power bank.
That's right.
That
That's
case.
right.
It's like $100 for those things.
Right.
I mean, yeah,
This
but
thing you this thing you don't charge.
exactly. So you just have to figure out does it interfere with the cell phone signals if you put it in such close proximity, your device, if
No, no,
and
no. It's not creating an EMF. I've already tested it for that. That's why I got the Geiger counter now. I want to test it for radiation level, which I'm pretty sure it's nothing. But you have to check this stuff. You don't know, right, until you test it. So yeah, I'm not throwing this big giant spark gap, so I don't really have to worry about it kind of radio emissions coming off it. But yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, it's like buying. You never have to charge your cell phone And most people change their cell phones from 2 to 5 years. So you're giving them a lifetime warranty on, they never being cut out of electricity, no cords, no wires, no plugins. Just now it runs, on
Just
its own.
think about this. Let's kind of expand on this. Now I have a cell that could charge battery banks. Hook that up now to a Bitcoin mining system. Now you don't have to pull power off the grid to run your mining system for Bitcoin. Now you could do it off the grid, and you're making money. So now maybe mining Bitcoin now might actually become profitable, because if you get my cell technology, it charges your batteries, but runs your inverters that powers your Bitcoin mining system.
Mike, I think you've hit a really, really important topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them use solar panels for their Bitcoin operation.
Yep, and these cells, believe it or not, I've said a few times before, but I'll say it again. If you put your hand on the cell, the power goes up. So there's a thermoelectric conversion there. So those computers, the mining computers, they give off quite a bit of heat. Well, if you put those cells in proximity of your mining system, the heat given off by the computers will actually make your cells put out more power. So
That's
it
cool.
actually will enhance it. Yep.
So it recycles the heat
Yep.
into
Yep.
energy. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, what are you waiting? I mean, what are you waiting for?
It's money. It's money. My partner's already.
What is
My
it?
partner.
Prototype it.
Well, the prototyping is the testing, right? The actual R&D of it. My partner's already dumped $9,000 into this stuff. So, and we haven't made a cent yet. So he's putting up quite a bit of money here to get all the materials that we need to do the R&D. So yeah, it's already almost $10,000 investment already. So
How much do you think you would still need to have a solid unit in working condition? Like
well,
one that you can actually replicate by manufacturing.
Hopefully by the new year I'll have a system up and running and testing. Like I can't speed up the future, so it's hard for me to say all these cells will last 5 years or they'll last 10 years. I'm hoping they'll last 2 to 5 years, but I won't know until 2 to 5 years down the road, because you know what I mean? Like I can't, it's like I'm trying to predict the future, but I can't.
No,
So
you predict the future and you do sell it, and if anybody has a problem, it fails, you replace it because you're continuously updating
right.
the
Well,
technology.
yeah. We're planning to have somebody do a beta test for us. So they'll be running a refrigerator and maybe a couple computers, something like that, and have it running. So if we have a good beta test out there, we can go and check on the machine periodically to see how it's performing. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to get the Raspberry Pi hooked up to the system, so I can monitor all the stuff that's going on with the system. So yeah, there's still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of work to do on it.
Well, you should start with creating a company too, because if eventually you want to create it as
yeah,
like a company
yeah,
with their share.
we already know all this, Lulu. We've talked with my partner about this. There's a lot of stuff we're planning behind the scenes. So yeah, we're well aware of that. So
There's
that'll
some
be interesting.
there's some organization they're gonna pay 50% of your expenses, like NRC or things like that. They can help you with grants if after they evaluate your project, and then they can pay 50% of your expenses.
Yeah, see, like, is it a private grant or is it a government grant?
It's a government funding that they pay 50% of your expenses. and
Yeah,
with
I might
Inventors.
look. I might look into that down the road. I'll have to talk to my partner about that. Maybe that's something we could do, or at least look into it.
I can put you in touch directly with them. It takes a long time to talk to NRC, but I can put you in touch with some people there.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we would have to do a huge business proposal and all that kind of stuff, which that is completely out of my league.
No, it's you just need to do a financial projection, like a little table with how much you project making with that.
Yeah.
Like a small
Yeah.
business, you know.
Well, I know there would be a few companies kind of PO'd at us, like Duracell and Energizer might not be too thrilled with us.
Yeah. So
Somebody's got to evolve this population into the next phase of the future. You know, somebody's got to do it. You
yeah,
know,
but then
Oh,
we're against the big banks agenda again.
say that again.
We're against the big banks agenda.
Yeah, but one of them will eventually cave and want to, get on our side because they see the future. You know, they could stay in their classical way of thinking. The end, they'll just their whole financial system will rot. You know, as an idea.
I don't think they
oh,
care. Your best shot is to sell it to a military, thing and let them use it because it'll never get out to the commercial market if the bigger companies start lawsuiting you every day for the technology.
Yeah.
Nobody has that technology.
Yeah, but nobody has that kind of money to fight it either.
Doesn't
You know what I
exist.
mean?
Like, okay, if it doesn't exist as a product, then who's gonna say what? It doesn't exist. You're the first person that made it, into a living thing.
Oh, I understand. It's not
Oh,
that I disagree with it.
like, whoever brings an idea to life gets the credit. Simple. Yeah.
I think what's more important is how you deploy it. So we have a plan on deploying this stuff covertly, so it doesn't hit the mainstream news, so to speak.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, you need
but
an
there,
underground network.
Man,
yeah,
I could blow this thing up like, commercially, like probably nationally and within a few months and globally within 6 months. Kidding me?
no, we would be attacked so fast. No, no, we have to deploy it covertly. We got to hit certain markets. We've already discussed all that. What markets we can deploy it covertly so it doesn't hit the mainstream. The second it hits the mainstream, then all these guys will come out of the woodwork and want a piece of you. You're just setting yourself up for a failure, right?
Hmm.
I tend to agree with Nathan on that. They'll take you to court and they'll make you submit just by your costs to be fighting it in court, right?
Yeah, they'll dry you up. They'll drain your money just by bringing you to court.
Yeah, get a big fat government grant. You know what I mean? Get them to pay quite a bit for the research and then pay you for when it's done and just keep collecting and build whatever the next technology is and sell them another technology after that and continue. I mean, if you're looking to make money on it, that's the best way to do it because they're not going to let it out. I mean,
Yeah.
but make your money if that's what you're in for. So go for it. You know what I mean? That's the
Well,
people to
yeah.
give you the money.
Well, we kind of realize there's only so far we will be able to go with it. So it's a matter of getting it out there and people aware of the technology. So, like I'm not the only guy working on this stuff. There's probably hundreds, maybe thousands of people worldwide working on similar technology, but
Mhm.
have never got it out, right? They're aware of it, but they've never got it out. They might have working prototypes, stuff like that. I know of two guys right now that have something similar to what I'm working on, but that's all I know as far as in the alternative energy stuff, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, it's complicated, Lulu. Like Nathan said, the best way to deploy it's like give it to the military first, and then eventually, maybe, hopefully, by an act of God, it might actually get out, right?
Where's the fun they hold things? Where's
That,
the
that's
having like levitating cars within the next 5 years?
yeah, but that's what I'm doing. I'm talking
Yeah.
directly with the military, so I don't waste my time with people.
Unless you put it as a contingency, we want to have a futuristic public use for it. Yeah, military could use the technology, but we want everybody actually to enjoy it as well. You know?
Yeah, but we cannot be. That's the problem. We want to act like a good Samaritan, but it doesn't work that way.
It's a two-way road. You got to pick the fork you're going to go down. Either you want to make money, or you get it out for free.
Both.
So
I want both.
you can't have both. You get
Both.
one. Either you're going to make your money, or you're going to get it out for free, and that's it. And you just decide where your priorities lie and go with it, and everybody would be happy.
Hard question. Very hard question. I mean, it's nice to have money, but it's also nice to invent something that everybody knows.
I agree.
Look what they did to Tesla. Perfect example right there. He
Yeah.
spent more time in the court system than he did in the lab.
But money comes and goes, but recognition, once it comes, that's it. It doesn't go, you know? Like that's for life. You have that honor, you know, that you invented this. Whatever happens in the between, but you know, it will be recorded in your name and your family's name. And so I don't know. I would prefer to be, you know, known as a scientist that invented something than to be a billionaire.
Yeah, but there's a lot of look at the Nobel Prize committee, how corrupted it is. You know, they don't want to. They're not gonna give a Nobel Prize to any woman, to any people outside of physics, or they're not gonna give it to mathematician or computer scientists and things like that. So, and there's a lot of people that deserve the Nobel Prize too, but they according to the politics, they're gonna give it to whoever they feel like is best fitted regarding the conditions at this time.
Well, I thought we can make an AI version of myself, okay, and then get in the running for that Nobel Prize just by pretending I'm AI. You think it'll work, Phil? I'll just give them BS answers. You know what I mean? Every time they ask on ChatGPT, and I'll be like, "This is the Nathan bot," and I'm going to go out there and get my Nobel Prize.
There was a
you send
gentleman
them
who
a
convinced
robot.
himself that he was AI, and he really wasn't.
That's too smart to be AI.
Yeah.
I just dumb it up a little bit. Throw in some word salad. I'll hire Kamala when she doesn't get her job. I'll just hire her to be the PR person. She can just give the word salad after I give the right answer. She can try to say it, and then we'll just go with that.
I guarantee you, if you put a video up and just like pretend you're AI, people will buy it.
That's so great.
I mean, there's like full movies, full movies, like man, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah.
It's so funny. What did they think was going to happen? All they do is math. I mean, did they not think that the computer could do it better? I mean, they use the computer for simulations like you do, Phil, and then the AI gets into your simulation, and then it starts telling you what's going on.
Yeah. You know what's funny is these physicists that believes that we live in a simulation. It's like, geez, and who is simulating them? You know?
Yeah. Who made that guy?
You know,
Who's the technician making those guys? We need to fire that guy.
I think it's it's not a preset simulation, continuously active simulation. You know, so it simulates. It's based on what energy it emits. So it senses the body frequency, and so it reflects it back to you. It reflects your own energy. That's what the simulation is, you know. It's a constant reflection of thought. Like, I wouldn't think of it like this. When you think of something, then you see it in your observable universe, and you're like, is that a coincidence, or how did that come about? Well, it's the universe creates a
No, is that Mike?
I don't know.
Yep,
I'm
I'm here.
I think
Can
there's
you hear me?
some resonance. Your resonance noise is in the microphone or something.
Oh, yeah, it's probably my wife and her Netflix.
Okay.
but this
Somebody sabotage your system.
is a reflection.
No, no sabotage tonight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, I got these things on like full blast so I can hear you guys. And then, like, as soon as that extra noise comes in, man, it's like killing me.
I apologize.
It's all good.
So, Phil, when is your trip to Texas?
Yeah, December 2nd to December 6th.
Okay.
So
We'll
I
be
need to pay. I need to pay for the hotel on Monday, and I'll get the plane ticket. So I get that ready. And oh yeah, I need to. I need to do research a little bit more on my technology because I'm gonna talk about anti-gravity, high temperature electrolysis, energy teleportation, and force fields. So I still need to do research on high energy high temperature electrolysis because I know there are other companies are already doing that, and I need to study how they're doing it, and and things like that. So, but yeah, just it's very early stage of my on my research on that, but I'm gonna pretend to. Well, I'm pretty much advanced in anti-gravity. I did the the experiment already, but I did the basic experiment on electrolysis. I know the energy teleportation is gonna work because I don't invent anything, and but the force fields, it's kind of I didn't test. I didn't have a chance to test it because I don't have superconductors or anything like that in high dense electric currents. But um, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work because it's kind of all of my experiments so far worked. So that's the only experiment I didn't do yet, but it it has to work. You know what I mean? So so yeah, but the military, in the U.S. they're so much interested into innovation that even if I don't have like a big giant lab behind me to support me, they still want to hear about it. They want to hear about my you know the new stuff that I have in mind or that I'm proposing.
Hmm.
So
Cool.
that's why it's cool. That's why I love that's what I hate about the Canadian military is that they're not gonna help you out with groundbreaking, innovative research. They're just gonna wait that the U.S. military has it first, and then they're gonna copy it. You
It's
know?
not going to happen. It's not going to happen with a Trudeau government. I'll tell you that right now.
As a,
Yeah, nothing's gonna happen with the Trudeau government. Uh,
Yeah.
as a scientist, Phil, would you get in trouble in Canada if you present a device for another country's Department of Defense?
I don't give a shit, honestly. I don't care.
Like,
I don't care. I know they have a the how do you call that, the exchange, the like ITAR ITAR, that limits what you can do. Well, it's more for weapons. ITAR, it's more for weapons. Well, what I'm working on is not on weapons at all, but it can be used for weapons. Energy teleportation, I guess it could be used for weapons, but that's not my intent. My intent is just to get something up and running as fast as possible, and I'm not gonna get that done here in Canada, especially not Quebec. I did present my project in some incubators in Quebec and said, "Oh, it's an idea." It's not an idea. I've been working on that for 15 years. It's not like I just woke up this week with that idea in mind. They don't they're not very proactive for that type of stuff. So that's what I don't like about Canada when it comes to innovation. They just copy United States. So, but because they don't want to take risk. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. They
Well, the problem is, you know what the problem is the liberal government here has spent so much money in all the wrong places,
yeah,
right? You know what I mean? Like some of these social programs that they have going are complete utter BS. Like the biggest waste of taxpayer money. Like the amount of money that the liberals have thrown down the toilet is mind-boggling.
yeah, and they want to help the whole planet. They give away our money to all these countries for any reason.
It's crazy. It's just misspending of taxpayers' dollar. And then the carbon tax. What a big load of BS that is. Oh my God. It is
Yeah,
unbelievable. The carbon tax. What everything is made of carbon. This chair, me, you, the wall, everything's made of carbon.
yeah, that's
And you're
the
putting
thing.
a tax
They can't. You
like
can't. No, but the message is to force us to buy an electric car. But electric car are not well tested. Some get fire, get in fire easily.
oh well there was a car accident, just talking about electric cars here for a sec. There was a Tesla that crashed in Toronto the other night. The friggin' thing went up like a Roman candle. It blew up so
Yeah,
bad. Like
it's ridiculous.
really,
So
really bad.
Tesla just followed the mainstream ideology. He wants to bow to the elites and all these globalists and all these people. So
See, the problem with lithium to start off with, because I've studied this for a long time, lithium is very unstable. When you get it into a situation, it basically does a runaway. Thermo, you name it, voltage. It's a bad scene. It's like a nuclear reaction going off inside the battery.
yeah,
But my battery that I'm working on is super stable, super stable. Most of the elements inside there are extremely stable. Some stuff can be flammable at certain heat temperatures. Okay, granted. But lithium, if something goes wrong, the wrong heat gets exposed to too much heat or gets jarred the wrong way, you're looking at an explosion.
yeah. What do you think about sodium batteries?
That is probably one of the best that I've seen in a long time. China has got it, I think, in two different electric cars in China that they only make them in China, but apparently they're very promising and a lot cheaper, way cheaper than the lithium battery,
Yeah,
and super stable.
that's
So
yeah,
sodium ion batteries, 2 thumbs up.
yeah,
Definitely, yes.
yeah.
Do you think
But
the UFOs use salt water as a fuel? I mean, it's an idea. Like they're always
Your guess is good
bring,
as mine. I could see it, sure.
yeah. I mean, if sodium battery, sodium based battery, and got that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's lots of salt water out there. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But sodium, just that element alone, is very abundant on the planet. So is carbon. So those two, you got to use the most abundant elements on the planet.
Hmm.
Carbon's one, sodium's another. You know, and make a battery with it, because then you won't have problems with shortages, and then the prices go up. That's why I think the sodium batteries in the long run is going to win. It's because of the cost,
yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
Uh, how about phosphorus batteries? Would that work? Like, is phosphorus a material that could be used as a capacitance of any kind? You know, I'm
I've
asking.
heard a little. I've heard a little bit with phosphorus, but the thing is, sodium's so much more abundant. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah.
Like now, like even copper. Look at the price of copper. It is skyrocketed, big
Yeah,
time,
somebody was
right?
telling our penny, our American penny, like is really worth 3 pennies just with the amount of copper in it. So,
Yeah, because the inflated price. Because the
yeah,
inflated price, the cost to mine it, the
like
mining costs are tremendous.
like if
Is it even real copper all the way through anymore?
uh
Well, that's a good question too. Yeah.
the
See,
new
the
one,
Canadian government. See, in Canada, they got rid of the penny. What? How many years ago now, Phil? What? 10 years ago, they got rid of the penny.
Penny, like, yeah, 10
Like
years.
10 years now. Yeah, we got rid of it because the copper's too expensive.
Yeah, well, not only that, you guys have inflation way like crazy prices compared to what we have here.
Oh yeah, I think. Well, yeah, the U.S. too, but yeah, we've got pretty high inflation. Yeah,
Well, I mean, like I got to be a millionaire to buy a house in
yeah.
Canada.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Anywhere in the
That's-
Greater Toronto area, you have to have a down payment of, I think it's 20% of a million. So any young person coming out of college, university, or uh, a lot of them can't afford. They won't even qualify with banks, right? Because the banks, they put you on this new thing called a stress test. So they see what your annual income is versus your costs and all that stuff. But because everything's so hyperinflated, gas and food and all the commodities we need, a lot of those young people coming out of college and university that want to buy a house, they don't even qualify with the bank. They can't pass that stress test.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very unfortunate.
so the age would be like for people to build that normally, like you're talking closer towards 40, between 35 and 40,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah. hmm Yeah. Buying a house at 20, 25 years old, that's disappearing big time. That's disappearing.
Yeah, it just seems like they want to put everybody in a shoebox in a big city.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
And
Awful.
yeah, especially the town I live in, you should see all the condos going up, all the apartments. They're going up like wildfire.
Because they're less.
Oh, oh yeah, I heard that's what Trudeau wanted. He wanted to increase the housing prices because he got some houses himself. He want to resell. So by increasing the prices, he's gonna make a fortune out of it. You know.
God, that's
So
terrible.
and
They
yeah,
should, if you go into government life, they should seize all of your assets right then and there and only
Mhm.
let the government pay for whatever you are doing in the office. Okay. But you're never allowed to touch your assets. You won't get a Nancy Pelosi situation where her husband's like the best stock trader on the planet that never misses.
yeah,
And, get something like that. I think they should just seize it all. If you go into public life, you don't get to
Yeah,
they'll
there's
hold
a
it for you,
reason.
but you're
There's
not
a
allowed
reason
to
she was
use
the
it.
Speaker of the House. She was good at that insider trading.
Oh yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the illegal immigrants flooding in Canada when Trudeau was here. Well, he's still here, but because these illegal immigrants they need housing, so the demand the demand the demand increases, so the availability reduces, and then the prices go up. So it's the same thing. That's what he wanted. It's Trudeau is smart enough to profit for himself. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
he
but
often-
what happens if they get somebody in that's not like him and it kicks everybody out? Then the houses are inflated, and then there goes your whole market right down the tube. Because then the government won't be paying for them to stay in the houses anymore. Then they'll be empty. Then they'll need to be filled, and then there'll be a giant price drop. So, yeah, if you guys get a different government, then you're get ready for it, because
Yeah.
we're about to go through it here.
Well, I think
Yeah,
I
they're
think the
about
big
to deport millions.
Well, I think what's going to happen here is a lot of foreclosures and a lot of bankruptcies are starting to happen, corporate and civil,
Yeah.
and that's put a stunt on the growth of the inflation of homes. So now that $1 million house now has gone down 23%. So people are starting to lose some equity in their homes now, right?
Can the loss be tax deductible?
I'm not an expert on that, so I'm not going to give a.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Like here in the States, depreciation also has a tax reduction value, when something depreciates. So you still
Yeah,
benefit.
I think there is. I'm pretty sure there is something like that there. Yeah, yeah. I do recall because I do my own taxes every year, so I've seen that in there, depreciation of assets or properties.
Yep,
So
benefit from the difference because when you're at this bracket and then you have to pay this much, but then you lost this much, so they take away from whatever you lost, and they like
yeah,
they
I think that's all under the capital gains tax.
uh,
Yeah. So yeah, they have a big thing inside, the
yeah. But
tax.
this is you have to be making money in order for you to benefit. Otherwise, you don't.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So
like say like a 2 bedroom apartment in my hometown. Guess how much it costs?
Probably like $3,000 or more.
Not that high. It's 2,000 a month for a 2 bedroom apartment in my hometown.
That's what I'm paying here in Montreal.
Yeah,
here 2 to
so
3.
that's about 1,800 US for a 2 bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, it's about the same here. Yeah, about the same. 1,800 to
Yeah,
2.
it affects everybody. Well, the latest on our government situation is now the Liberal Party is now questioning Justin Trudeau and his own party now. So it looks like some of his members of his party are now questioning his position. So there was a big meeting today with the Liberal Party to maybe spark an early election.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys can't get rid of him when he starts praising Nazis. I don't know what
Yeah,
you're going to
I
have
don't
to
know.
do. He starts running around his little spangly outfits and then blackface.
Yeah,
And everything he stands against, he's doing. And it's like, are you serious? And you still can't get rid of him? He's like
he's
the
kind of like,
stain in your shorts you can't wash out.
yeah. I was gonna say more like a hemorrhoid.
Yeah. It's so bad.
Yeah.
He like breaks every rule, and he has a big crap-eating grin on his face when he does it too.
You just wanna, yeah. I won't say it.
Remember, Mike, when he was calling when there was a trucker convoy, it was
Oh, yeah.
calling the unvaccinated from in general, a small fringe minority.
Yeah.
I still remember that, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, don't worry. That's a lot of countries took notice to that whole scenario what happened in Ottawa.
Man, but they did such a media blackout on it. It was like up to
Mhm.
the people on the ground and people that they knew to. It would like
Well,
all
he's
broadcasting channels like did a complete
mm,
blackout on it. It was
Did you?
well, yeah. You should have seen what he did. He seized their bank accounts and a
Oh
whole
yeah,
bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, like
Yeah,
they
I'm
he
thought.
used
surprised
like
you guys aren't saluting them with the one arm in the air, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
After that,
exactly.
I I
Yep.
I heard one
Mhm.
of the truckers was saying, that they took this contract thinking that they were doing the world a good, by transporting the vaccines. They didn't know that the vaccines were actually, harming people.
and we
Well,
can't talk about that.
Okay, yeah, never mind.
yeah, just stay away from that,
Never mind.
please.
Sorry. Sorry.
I don't want to get a strike.
Apologies. I was
Yeah.
talking, when you say
Anyways, we're at the top of the hour, or we're gonna call it quits for the night. I think everybody's tired. I got the black circles. I couldn't even, with the computer technology today, I can't even hide my dark circles under my eyes. Yeah. So, just for note, next week we will have a show next Friday night. So if you tune in, we will be doing a live show at 9 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget to tune into Philip's YouTube channel and also Nathan's and Ben. They all have YouTube channels. Check it out. And thanks everybody for a great discussion. And we'll see everybody next week.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Right, take it easy.
Take,
Have a good night,
take care,
everybody.
guys. Take care.